story is one of the most inhumane human experiments I've ever heard. Today I'm telling you about David Reimer, when a routine baby circumcision went horribly wrong. When Bruce was only 8 months old, what should have been a simple surgery went catastrophically wrong. Doctors unintentionally destroyed his penis. His parents were terrified and grieving the future they had imagined for their baby boy only months before. You won't guess the next twist in this case, I can promise you that. Searching for answers, his traumatized parents turned to Dr. John Money, a charismatic, media-friendly sex researcher, with a theory he was determined to prove. Money offered a radical solution: raise Bruce as a girl, feed him female hormones, lie to him about who he was, and hope nurture could overtake nature. To Money, Bruce wasn't a child, he was the perfect test subject. And so Bruce became Brenda. Dresses, dolls, speech coaching, and his entire world reconstructed as an experiment. Money published glowing reports claiming Brenda was thriving, using the success story that gender was learned. But behind closed doors, it was a lie. Brenda was quietly falling apart. Bullied, ostracized, and deeply unhappy, dresses and hormones didn't change who he felt himself to be. When early adolescence hit, the conflict between imposed identity and inner truth was unbearable. But Money had a reputation to protect, so he dismissed these red flags as adjustment issues. Meanwhile, the therapy sessions grew more disturbing. Money staged bizarre, invasive sexual rituals with the children, acts that were later described as traumatic and abusive. Finally, his parents broke. They told him everything. The botched circumcision, the secrets, the experiment. At 14, he finally began to understand he was born male. He reclaimed his identity, taking the name David, started testosterone, and even a double mastectomy, a desperate attempt to reverse what had been forced on him. But a physical transformation couldn't erase that damage. He spoke out, wanting to stop other children being used as pawns in experiments that assumed bodies equaled identity, and then there was one final tragedy. David tried to build a life. He got married, done odd jobs. He tried normalcy, but the trauma never loosened its grip. In 2004, broken, exhausted, and haunted, David ended his life. He was 38. David's story forced the medical world to face the ethics of irreversible surgery on children that cannot consent. It exposed the arrogance of the people that believed that gender could be assigned. His death shattered whatever remained of Money's reputation. But it remained one of the most haunting real-life experiments. When science crosses the line and treats a person, especially a child, as a theory to be tested on. I'm MIG, and you've been listening to Told by MIG. David Reimer, The Child Rewritten.